Rumors are that allegedly Carlos King is in big trouble at his network. Is he about to be fired? And what does Real Housewives of Atlanta have to do with it? I have some new information that may answer all of those questions and more right after this. What's up, kinfolk? And welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, do me a favor and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, do me a favor and get notified, so you'll know whenever I upload new videos to the channel. All right, kinfolk, come on into the house. We have a lot to talk about, and it centers around rumors that allegedly Carlos King is in big trouble at his network. Is he about to be fired? And what does Real Housewives of Atlanta have to do with it? Well, I have some new information that may answer all of those questions and more, and here it goes. Rumors are that allegedly Carlos King is currently losing his war on Bravo and Real Housewives of Atlanta. But what else has this fight cost him? Maybe something he didn't expect. A source reveals Carlos' long-standing feud with Bravo and Real Housewives of Atlanta has been very fascinating to those who have been following the drama since day one. Allegedly, everything started when Carlos left the network following the Real Housewives of Atlanta dungeon scandal. However, many thought that incident was water under the bridge after Carlos created a new lane for himself at their own networks with his successful love and marriage franchises. However, that wasn't the case, ended the source. Allegedly, behind the scenes, Carlos's Real Housewives of Atlanta exit was his biggest career upset, something that has angered him for years. He felt used and portrayed, said another source. But what has this long-standing feud with Bravo and some of its biggest names cost him? Well, an industry insider says that allegedly Carlos's constant fixation on the Real Housewives of Atlanta franchise has taken too much of his attention from his own love and marriage franchises. As a result, the latest ratings for Love and Marriage Huntsville saw dramatic decreases in viewers by almost 70%. A number that shocked everyone, the source said. Another source said, with viewership numbers of 200K for a franchise that at one point was stronger than the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 13 speaks volumes. The source continued, to put into perspective, more people watched Andy's Watch What Happens Live than the episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, ended the source. Fans have also taken notice, with one saying on social media, maybe if the cast of Love and Marriage Huntsville was in an alliance like Kandi and Kenya, then maybe he would get Real Housewives of Atlanta numbers. This comment by a Real Housewives of Atlanta fan spoke to a new feud that Carlos started with Kandi and Kenya, saying that the two weren't real friends, only in an alliance to help each other stay on the show. Another fan commented, the ratings are down because the producer of the franchise has not allowed the story or the show to change/evolve since season 1. He is also too busy in his closet reviewing other TV shows. Whether this is the reason why ratings are down for Carlos King and his Love and Marriage franchise has yet to be seen. But the real question is, can ratings like this cost him his production deal with OWN? Could he be fired yet again from another major network? Sources say we will just have to wait and see. All right, kinfolk. Now, that is some more information that's coming out between this consistent and constant drama-filled fight or war between Carlos and Real Housewives of Atlanta and some of his biggest stars. But as always, we're going to take this rumor, we're going to dissect the parts in which we think could be factual and which parts probably could not be factual. But kinfolk, I will say this, I am not too surprised by these ratings, but I am surprised by the cause of the ratings, and it's this. Like one fan commented, The reason why they feel like the ratings are down for Love and Marriage Huntsville is simply because they feel like Carlos has not allowed the franchise and the storylines to evolve since season 1. Now, I must say, I didn't start watching Love and Marriage Huntsville till about season 3, but I can say this: if the drama of season 3 was the same as season 1 and up until now, then I can definitely see why fans feel like the franchise has hit a plateau and is in a rut when it comes to storylines. And I can see now how that could possibly be true, because I did notice on this last episode, or the episode preview for the next week's episode, that even some of the friends of the show are now starting to branch out and get their own storylines with some of their family members. Something I think is smart to help, create more storylines and narratives to keep fans interested. However, I am surprised to know that the reason for the low ratings is not because of his constant feud with Real Housewives of Atlanta and some of his biggest stars. Now, we talked about this on yesterday, that how his feuds with some of Real Housewives of Atlanta biggest stars could deter some of his fans who are crossover fans from watching his own franchises. Now, when I said that, I thought that could be a very big possibility. But for right now, it seems like some of the crossover fans are still sticking with him. However, they are becoming increasingly frustrated by the fact that they feel like the franchise and the storylines have not evolved. Now, kinfolk is another part of this rumor that I do find also very interesting, and I can see as being somewhat factual, and it's this. I do believe that Carlos has put too much focus on other shows, and I think he comes off as displaying a lack of focus and direction on his own TV franchises. And that's because, when he is critiquing the Housewives franchises, especially Atlanta, it speaks to what we were saying on yesterday, kinfolk. He's in a very weird place. Sometimes it can come off as his critiques could come off as useful, and then sometimes they can come off as shady. Oftentimes they come off as useful wrapped in shade, which I think continues to feed into this whole narrative that fans believe that allegedly he is at war with the network, with Real Housewives of Atlanta, and with some of Real Housewives of Atlanta's biggest stars. So it's a very weird place that he's in, and I think that comes from the fact that he is not, or at least appears not to be so much involved or excited about his own franchises, or that the most excitement that comes from critiquing reality TV shows just happens to be him critiquing the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And also, kinfolk, I think this is something that also is his Achilles heel, because it's something that his biggest rival does, or has done, or is doing, is the reason why he was so successful with his franchises, and also maybe the reason why the network hasn't got rid of him just yet. And I'm talking about Andy. So what is Andy doing that Carlos isn't doing? Well, it's kind of small, but it has a big impact, and it's this. For all intents and purposes, Andy's secret to his success at Bravo is the fact that he is completely, and I mean totally, fixated on his housewife universe. So much so that I think sometimes he becomes blinded by the way he treats the ladies, by some of the things he says, and by some of the moves he's making. And that type of fixation and total focus on his Real Housewives universe has resulted in him having the most successful reality TV show empire in all of television. And so with that being said, I think if Carlos King gets a little bit more fixation and a little bit more total focus on his own Love and Marriage franchise, then it's by no means of the stretch of imagination that we could also see a Love and Marriage Atlanta, a Love and Marriage Dallas, a Love and Marriage Houston, a Love and Marriage Beverly Hills or Los Angeles. But it does seem that, his lack of focus on other franchises is really keeping his focus off his own franchises and making those franchises successful and breaking out. Now, one can say that he can, walk and chew gum at the same time, and that he's smart enough to be able to do his YouTube channel and run his production empire. However, with ratings numbers like we're seeing with Love and Marriage Huntsville, even if he did want to break off and do another franchise in a different city outside of DC in Huntsville, a network may not be too amped to give him that deal simply because of the ratings of his current shows. But kinfolk, that is just something that I have noticed, and I think that if he did make that small change, it could have a big impact. Now, kinfolk, another part of this rumor that I do find extremely shocking is this. I am shocked by the ratings numbers. Surprised that he would critique the ladies of Real Housewives of Atlanta with numbers like his. Those numbers shocked me. When I saw that 72,000 views for the last episode of, one of the most recent episodes of Love and Marriage Huntsville, I honestly thought that was the ratings numbers for like one of his after show episodes or something like that. But the fact that is the ratings for probably the biggest franchise in his empire was very shocking. But not as shocking as the fact that he is willing to still critique the ladies of Real Housewives of Atlanta for also having low numbers. And this is why I think a lot of fans feel like his fixation and his focus is just in the wrong place. It's kind of like right message, wrong messenger. A lot of fans commented saying on social media saying how, I can see what he's saying, but it seems like he needs to be focused on his own franchise, or probably take some of those critiques and use it in his own franchise to help him out with his low numbers. And, it is just so ironic that some of the advice that he's giving the ladies in Atlanta is some advice he probably needs to be taking for himself in order to help improve his Love and Marriage Huntsville numbers. Now, I'm not sure how well Love and Marriage DC is doing, but if Love and Marriage Huntsville is seeing these type of numbers, I can only think or guess that DC isn't faring even much better. So it leads us all back to the original topic. Can this type of these ratings decreases and this type of drama between two networks, can it really hurt Carlos's standing and his position at his own network? I don't think the drama between Carlos and Candy and Kenya and Real Housewives of Atlanta and with network could see him lose his job at OWN, but I do see low ratings being the cause. Now, this is all alleged information and speculation, but if numbers like this continue, then one could probably, guess that they may not take the Love and Marriage Huntsville franchise off the air, but they probably might take the DC franchise just so they can assure that Carlos is putting all his focus into the Love and Marriage Huntsville franchise and to make it a success like it was the last couple of seasons. But Ken, folks, I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that Carlos's fixation on Real Housewives of Atlanta is causing him to lose focus on his own franchises, and that's the reason why he's seeing low ratings? Or do you think it has nothing to do with the Real Housewives of Atlanta and that he just needs to evolve his characters or add new cast members to his franchises? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. All right, kinfolk. As always, please, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys over in the next one. Peace.